So yesterday we were studying about creating a simple RDS. So we understood what a database is, why do we need a database, what are relational databases, and also did create a relational database and tried to connect to that relational database from our machine. But there are certain minor concepts that we have kind of thought that we'll be covering today in this topic. So the minor topics or integral or like a small pointers that we have missed in RDS section is something that we'll cover in this section today. Okay. So let me quickly share my screen. Here I am. This is my RDS, right? This is what we created yesterday. I create like there were some parameter groups and other options that were created automatically. So I didn't create them. So we'll have to understand what a snapshot is. Okay. There is this manual snapshot that is there. I'll just delete all the snapshots and make it clear for everybody. Okay, so there's nothing else now. Okay. We'll start with again creating a VPC. Minor option will take a few minutes for us to create the VPC. Now I want this particular RDS to be only available in private subnets. Yesterday, when we selected that VPC and we did not select any subnet group or asked it to automatically create a subnet group, so it attaches all the subnets there, which I did not want. I'll not take like a bigger one. Okay, let it create. By the time it is creating, I will share certain options. So I'll come and start creating my, I'll share certain options here. Let's just uh, get this quickly. It might take some time for this NAT gateway to provision, as I always mention that it is a bit time consuming, but rest everything is going to be pretty quick. I don't know why this is creating a VPC endpoint. There was a flag that we'll have to disable this VPC endpoint, so I don't think we need that. We should have disabled it. So from next time we'll be disabling that option until unless we actually want to create a VPC endpoint. Okay, I'll talk to you about VPC endpoints in that section when we'll go there. Now there were two options here. Again, standard create and an easy create. In a standard create, first thing that you'll have to select is which type of database you want, which means database engine. Okay. So what is the type of database you're looking at? You're looking at Aurora database, MySQL database, MariaDB. All of these are relational databases. So example, I want PostgreSQL again. Okay. Now here I can select whether I want to have a multi-AZ or I don't want to have a multi-AZ. If I select show versions only which have multi-AZ, so it might remove certain versions which are not multi-AZ compatible. Okay, you can go to the latest one, you can go to the stable versions also. Now there are certain templates that are given. Okay, this particular option you will only get in console. Okay, when you do it via any automation, you will not get this option of selecting the template. Okay, there are flags that you can enable or disable there, but you will not get this template thing. Okay, so I'm creating a dev and a test cluster. I want to create a multi-AZ DB instance. Okay, I can create a cluster too, but let me create an instance first. Okay, let me show you how it looks like. Every time, whenever you create any stuff, um, wait, I I think there was some discussion yesterday regarding blue-green deployment also. I'm not sure whether you guys have like seen it, but I want to remind you, please Please, 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 please. If you have not, please try and watch it. So this is how a multi-AZ database looks like. Okay, this is one availability zone. This is next availability zone, third availability zone, and we have a cluster created in these availability zones. So this is how it looks like when it is um, when there are two reader databases or read replicas, while there is one write one. Okay, so whenever there is a write operation, it happens directly to the writer. Okay, when there are read operations, it can be fetched from this. Okay, or how does a replication happen? You do a write operation here, it will be replicated here. Okay, for both the instances, and then it will be acknowledged. Okay, depending upon whether it is synchronous, asynchronous, and others. So this is how a cluster would look like. Let me create a cluster today rather than an instance. Okay, every time you're creating a cluster, delete it there and then, because it is highly chargeable. You see, it is creating every instance. It is creating actually 3 dB instances for you. Okay, rather than one. So 3 dB instances, one in every availability zone. This is a reader, this is a writer, and these are two are reader instances. Okay, let me show you this also. It's very, very important, guys, for you to visualize this. This is you are the client. When you are trying to connect to this cluster, okay, you will connect to the writer. This writer will do replication. Read accesses can happen from here. This is just a cluster. So this is basically the differences between uh like this one. This is a single instance, which means it is available in only one availability zone that we have mentioned already. Okay. Um, in multi-AZDB instance, there is one primary and one standby server in two separate AZs. While these are this has a writer and two standby servers. All three are in separate AZs, but you can do read operations from here. This is synchronous, as in every write operation will happen to primary, then it will be replicated to standby, and then you will get an acknowledgement. Synchronous. Asynchronous means you make an like it's something like a transaction. Example, you make a transaction. Okay, that transaction will go to a database. Then that database will replicate it to standby. Okay, and then will revert a acknowledgement back to you that it is done. Okay, it is very similar to your bank transactions. I'll tell you why these transactions are also important, because these are very, very important concepts of I would say of databases. So transaction, like example, you are doing a bank transaction, your transactions are also tracked in a database. Now it says that, okay, take this much money out of this person's account and add it to this person's account. Both of them are in the same bank. Now what happens is, there is a transaction that is initiated saying that remove the money from this account. Now there is a second operation that's there, that is submitted to this person's account, added to this person's account. When this entire transaction happens, that is when you'll get an acknowledgement that your payment is successfully credited to this person's account. So which means that a bank transfer operation is complete when both of them are successfully done. So it is a synchronous activity. Now there can be an asynchronous activity also, that account it is debited from your account, but it is in another bank, so you cannot make an acknowledgement there. What you will do is, you take out money from this account. Okay, send a request to this bank, say that, okay, please debit this much money, 100 rupees, to this person's account. Okay, Now it is that bank's headache how they are adding it or how much time they are taking. I am going to tell my customer saying that it is debited from your account successfully. Now once it is credited to that person's account, that person will be separately intimated that okay, it is debited, it is credited to your account. That is when your transaction will complete. Now in terms of bank transactions, when if in case it doesn't go to this person's account, okay, that until and unless that person receives an acknowledgement saying that okay, it is successfully done, my transaction is still incomplete. Okay, if in case that person doesn't receive this money by for any reason, KYC not done, so cannot be credited. So what this bank needs to do, what I need to do is take the money back, put it in my customer's account once again. Why? That means roll back the transaction. That is called as rolling back the transaction. Okay, so a transaction is complete only when the circuit completes. It can be a synchronous call, as in you will get an acknowledgement once everything is done. Okay, or I am going to intimate you that it is debited from your account. You will get another acknowledgement saying that, later that person will get another acknowledgement that okay, it is debited to their account, credited to their account. Correct? But if that doesn't happen, then I'm going to roll back the transaction. Same way, in a database also, same thing happens. There are two parties here, primary, secondary. I am the user. Now, why we do have a secondary or a standby server is because in case this goes down, I can completely replace this with this one and use it, right? That's what this standby servers are for, right? Replace this. I'm going to use this now. So if even if this is not available, I'm okay. Now, for this to be 100% available or this state to come that okay, even this goes down, this can replace it completely, there should be a replication that needs to happen. Okay, I hope you guys are aware of it. If you are not aware, I'll tell you. Replication means whatever I'm writing here needs to go to this place also. Only then they'll look exactly the same. Until and unless they look exactly the same, it doesn't make sense. Because if this looks like this and this looks like this, if this goes down and I replace it with this one, I will have an incorrect data, right? Example, I have customer data. My customer updated the data in their bank account saying that this is my phone number. Okay, now if I have updated the phone number in this, but it is not updated in this one, in this database goes down, all the customers who updated anything in their account, anything in their customer profile in that particular point in time, all the transactions what has happened are gone, and I am with the previous transaction now. Problem, right? That's why we have this replication process, that if anyone is writing here, until and unless it reaches to this server also, okay, it will not be complete. If it doesn't reaches this server, it will be rolled back and the customer will be intimated that your transaction did not happen, try again. Because it is time consuming, because I am sending it to you, you are replicating it to somebody else, somebody else is acknowledging you, then you are acknowledging me, time taking. But it is safe. Why? Because you're playing with the data. When we are playing with data, it is okay to have some latency, not very much, some latency, because we want to have consistent data in there. Okay, it also depends upon the data that you're saving in there. If you're okay ki whatever data is there, even if this goes down and I am on a bit different data, I am still okay. If that is the case, then it is okay for us. But if it is not okay, then we'll have to have a synchronous transaction or synchronous replication mode. Okay. Now, standby servers can accept read operations. No in this case. Yes in this case. So latency, of course, higher. So it says it is faster in writes in terms of multi-AZ, because multi-AZ needs to take all the read operations and others, while read operations in this case can go to writer one. So reader one is basically only handling write operations. Okay. Again, all the failovers and other, these are other recovery mechanisms. What I would suggest is take the screenshot of this and like at least have a full view of what you are trying to create. Nobody creates this single AZ in production. Okay, either you'll be creating this or this one, but what is your use case, what is the data you are saving in there, something is, that is something that you will have to decide in your company. Okay, sometimes it should not be you, it should be somebody else in the architect team. Sometimes there's no architect. Okay, so you will have to take the responsibility. So I'm creating a multi AZDB instance for the time being. I'm self managing these passwords again as yesterday. Machine configuration, it needs to be standard. SSD 20, I don't want much. Auto scaling, I don't want to do it. Standard baseline, don't want to change it. Don't want to connect it. This now. Create a new subnet group. If you create a new subnet group, it will attach it to all the subnets. But I don't want to do that. So in this case, before creating a database, we'll have to create a subnet group also. Yesterday we did not create it because it was we chose this option. But if you choose this option, then what will happen? It will take all the subnets. If you want to select only some subnets where it could be scheduled, or some AZs and all, in that case you like, this is one thing that you can do. Now you can select which subnet you would like to go for. So if I want to select my subnet, this is how it should look like. These are my subnets. Okay, I want to take this one. Oh, it's public, right? Sorry, I want to take this one and the other one. That's it. So I, in my subnet section, this is what I want to select. BF and BF4, and this is 62. 62 should be the other one that I would like to select. Now only private ones I have selected. Okay, so it is saying that description should be provided. DevOps course, RDS, subnet group. You can write subnet group here also. Okay, it was just waiting for a. Now here again, I might have to write everything once again because PostgreSQL, select this, dev, instance, right? Yeah. DevOps course, RDS, password. You can go for self-managed or that one also. Okay, it's completely our choice. Storage again 20. Subnet group is here. Okay. I can create a new VP subnet group here. Okay. I don't want RDS proxy for the time being. Okay. I can go for password authentication, IAM authentication, Kerberos. but I want to go only for that. I am turning off performance insights, and enhanced monitoring is something that will send all the CPU threads and other information to CloudWatch. So this is the charge that I'll incur per month if I go ahead and create like any. Okay, now look, enable automated backups. Number of days for which automated backups are kept: 7 days. Choose a window. I want to take backups in this time. If I say no preference, it will take an automated backup once a day and all, whatever we decide. And only 7 days the retention period of that automated backup, as in only it will stay there for 7 days. Apart from that, it will be removed. You can enable or disable the encryption. I told you about encryption when we were discussing the EBS volumes also. Here also, EBS volume will only be attached, which is why it is asking for encryption and all of that. But I don't want to do that. Enable replication in another region of AWS. If you do that, then it will replicate this particular DB instance to another region also. Region and AZ. Right now, if you don't enable this option, it will only stay in this particular region. It is about backup. Okay. But if you want to have a replication in different region also, that's when you will select this. But I don't want to do that. Do I want to export this? No. Maintenance. Maintenance window is enable auto minor version upgrade. As in, if there is a minor version upgrade in this particular PostgreSQL, then it will automatically do it, else it will not. Okay. Enable delete protection, disable delete protection. Understand delete protection, right? Protects the database from getting accidentally deleted. It means that I have a database, I try to delete it, it will not delete it. It will not be deleted until unless somebody comes and modifies this particular option. Okay, if somebody comes and modifies this option, only then it will be allowed to delete this. So I'm creating this. I'm taking underscore in this case. Okay, create. It will take some time, as it was taking yesterday also. So now, any questions so far? What extra did we learn today about subnet groups? Okay. Now, next thing we'll learn here is snapshots. So there are two types of snapshots that we enabled. One was automated backups that I mentioned, that will take an automatic snapshot which will be retained for 7 days. But there is also an option of taking a manual snapshot. Okay, let us get this database up and then we'll discuss on those two topics. So you understand snapshot, right? You remember we have taken AMIs also. We have taken this block storage snapshot also, EBS snapshot. Guys, do you remember? Okay, so it is very similar to that. What it does is it will take a snapshot of the current state of the database and will keep a backup of that. Now, where could these manual and automated backups be used? Okay, now in case my database goes off for some reason, for any reason, okay, I can use any of these snapshots to restore a database. I can use these snapshots to bring up new database. I can also use these snapshots just before my like example, in if I know that in this particular deployment I might it might have some database related activities, so which might hamper our database. Now if we want to roll back, okay, if this deployment fails and I want to roll back, I'll roll back the application by going to the previous version. But what about the database? What about the data changes it did in the database? Okay, this deployment. So what I'll do, I'll recover it from snapshot back again. So these are few scenarios where it is used. Okay, example, it can also be used. Example, I have a test database, okay, for testing environment, and I'm creating a new environment. So in this case, I want all the test data to be there in that particular database. So there are multiple options to do so. I create the database, get dump of this current database and dump it here. Or I can use this snapshot to bring up this database, which is going to be used for another environment. Okay. Or it can also be used for migrating the databases. Example, I have a snapshot, I have a database in this region. Okay, I'm migrating everything that is there in this region to another region. Okay, now what happens is I can take this automated backup, transfer it there, bring up another database, and this database is there in another region now. Okay, you can also save these backups in S3s. Okay. I'm just checking if my RDS is provisioned now. It is still, yeah, it is modifying state now. So I think I can inform you about the snapshots. So you see here, it is in modifying state. This is the CPU currently, CPU usage. Now I come to snapshot. So there will be a system snapshot that will be taken every day. So you don't have to worry about it. Automatically, system will take all of those. But if I want to take a manual snapshot or a manual snapshot, that is manual backup of that database, then I'll use the take snapshot. Doesn't have to happen. Oh, it needs this database to be 100% available, only then it will enable this option. So we'll have to wait for a few more minutes for this modifying to go and available to come. Okay, it is now. If you want to check whether correct subnets are here, then this is your place. So it will only be scheduled in one of these subnets. Okay, there is going to be one DB and another one is going to be a standby server in one of these AZs. Okay, so you can get your backups and maintenance and other information here. So this is the backup window. In UTC time, from this time to this time, every day it will take one. Okay, so this is called automated backups or automated snapshots. I'll have to wait only for this to be active. This status to be active. It just identifies that active status only. Okay, these are number of connections. That is number of people who are connected to this database currently. This is the VPC. Is there any maintenance done? Is it multi-AZ? Okay, or what is the CPU usage, etc., etc. information. So this option, you can take a backup of a database in S3, and then you can use this restore from S3 option to restore a database from a backup that is kept in S3 or an object storage. Okay, that is less chargeable and I think a good option and a good increment right now. Earlier, this option was not there. Like a few years back, there was no option like this. There was only these snapshots. Okay. Right now also people use these snapshots more than they use something else. So you can see the dashboard. Here in this dashboard, you see that we have created one subnet group. Option groups, generally we do option groups and parameter groups, generally we don't make any changes to until and unless we want any specific option or a specific parameter to be enabled for the database. Now when this use case came in my scenario, I was not able to update it. Why? Because there are certain options or parameters that are controlled by AWS only, and they don't allow any changes in those parameters. So there are only certain set of parameters which you can change, not all of them. There are certain options that you can change, not all of them. Okay, when you build this entire database in your own infrastructure, you will see that there are far more options, but not all the options are available for you to change in AWS because it is controlled by them, right? You're using a managed service, it's controlled by them only. It takes a lot of time. Or if you take a snapshot from here, it will take a manual snapshot only. Okay, should have created it before the class. It's a little time consuming. Can't do much, can't help it. Like it approximately takes 20 minutes. So go ahead, guys, explore these options, try to create these backups, try to create a database, try to move a snapshot. I'll also try to move a snapshot here in this class too, and read about these blue green deployments. I disabled enhanced monitoring. Yaar. How is this enabled? It will not allow me to modify it also until unless it is active. That's why all of these options are disabled. You can get what type is it from here. If it is single AZ, it will show you single AZ. If it is instance, it will show you instance. If it is cluster, it will show you cluster. And the like, if you go here, it will show you something like this. In case of a cluster, all the instances are all in one go. Inside the cluster, it will show you. Okay, but in our case, we have only one instance, so it is fine. When you do group resources, it will show you the entire group, as in if it is a cluster, then all the cluster plus instances. If you remove this, it will not show you. It will show you only the main cluster, okay? Not all the instances. So you're getting familiar with this, I hope. Waiting for it to become active once again, so that I can show you how to create a manual snapshot. It's just a very simple process of click on snapshot, select the machine, select the database which you want to take backup of, and take snapshot. It will automatically take that snapshot for you without hampering the database. That's a very, very important option, because but ideally still you should do this when you have less number of connections, when you're taking the backup. Okay, try to do it taking a snapshot, try to take it when there are less connections, so that it doesn't although it doesn't hamper performance of the database when you're taking a backup, but still it's better. You see, system is taking a snapshot, creating. Which snapshot is this? The one that is creating right now, backing up. I did not select any option. It is automatically doing it for now. We can track the progress here. We can see whether it is creating, how much percentage is done, and so on and so forth. Although, like, it's not only 0%, it might have increased, but here it is only reflecting that much. Sometimes it takes time to get reflected. Okay, from 0% directly to completed. Okay, that's how it is. So now it is an available state. Example, now I'm going to take a snapshot, a manual one. Example, I want to transfer this snapshot to another region. I take this, I select the instance, I select the snapshot name. Generally, whenever we are taking a snapshot, try to add date to it because we might be taking more and more snapshots. Okay. So if you want more and more snapshots, it's better to add a date or a timestamp to it. Okay. So now again, it will look very similar to what you have seen before just now in system backup. Okay. It is again showing you that this is the instance for which I've taken backup of. It will show you creation time also, but we have added the creation date at least here in the snapshot name as well. Okay. Now it is taking time for it to be successfully available or completed, the backup to be completed. So we are waiting for it to be completed. It will take. It is not that kind time consuming, but it also depends upon the database. If it is a bigger database, it is taking time. Then we can't help it. Okay, there is less we can do to help in this process. Okay, whatever time it will take, and it will also depend upon the data you have. I'll show you the restore process of how will we restore this snapshot. Okay. And last will be to create another database from this snapshot. Okay. It's again saying backing up because it is taking a backup. Okay. But like connections can still sustain. CPU is going to be a bit higher, but again, better to take these backups in any uh, like like not in your peak hours. Okay, when your company is at the highest like highest traffic, then avoid doing it that time. Okay, take some time. Again, okay, and now what I'll do is I'll try to create, this is also a snapshot, that is also a snapshot. So from both the snapshots you can bring up a new database. Okay, so by the time this is taking a snapshot, let me try and create a new database from this snapshot. Okay, I can copy this snapshot, I can migrate this snapshot. This snapshot I cannot share, this snapshot I can even share. Okay, this one. So once it's completed, I'll show you. Share as in share it to another account, another region or something. Okay, now I'm creating a simple database. I'll use an easy create option this time. PostgreSQL database. I just want a free tier database for my testing. Snapshot. restore. So I want to do a snapshot restore in this. Self-managed password, EC2 connection. Oh, um, is it done now? Yeah, it's available now. So here I can restore this snapshot. Okay. Okay, so here they have already selected VPC subnet group. I can select another VPC and another subnet group also. Example, I created it in another VPC now. Okay, then that is also possible. Password authentication, restore database. So what it will do, now it will take that particular snapshot, create a new database from that snapshot in another VPC. Okay. What I just did was restore the snapshot. That's all. You see VPC? It is the default VPC, not my VPC. You see? Default VPC. There are two VPCs, this VPC and this one is something that I've just created. So it is created in that one. Okay. You can also get all the snapshot and other details from here. Replication as in from where did it get this? Okay, and other details. You can also get the snapshot details also here. Okay. So any other questions, guys? You can migrate this snapshot to other regions. You can share. Sorry. Instead of migrating, what I would want to do is basically share snapshot, copy snapshot to another, to another region. You can copy it to. Like example, I want to copy it to this region. I can copy it. I can share it, and so on and so forth. So there's a lot of things that I can play with it. Okay, or I can export it to S3. So I can export it to an S3 at a prefix location and then restore it from there. Okay, multiple options available. Now, which option you want to use will depend upon what your company abides by. Okay, based on the costing, based on what you want to do, based on how much clarity you need, how many backups you want to create, what is the use case, you can select any one of these options and reuse them. Okay, it's very easy, but at the same time it needs a bit of understanding of what to do when. Okay, that's all I had for today, guys. I hope you'll try it out on your own.